draft, Yanni, and looking at the bans, nothing being targeted toward one specific position, all just making sure a lot of those strong B1 and B2s are taken off.
Yeah, BLG's got first pick here. Seraphine's open if they want it. You might not
Pantheon
get the
too.
pairing that you want, but I mean, on Seraphine has been absolutely insane. Fengyue's has been good too. So we're going to see that Ashe come through, and that means that Top Esports going to look to break up this pairing. I do wonder that if they take it, if they're still going to go forward with this.
I mean, if they go for the Seraphine here, yeah, they're probably going to go for Xin here on 2 just to deny that really strong 1, 2, 3. They are going to lock Seraphine here. So now Ashe is significantly limited on what she can go for the supports. If we're going for more CC, I think that Melio isn't like an awful option, but certainly does feel bad for Viper there. Seraphine has a few options on what she can be paired up with in the bot lane here, but none of the conventional pairings, I think, of AD carries can really be mixed with her. So we are going to see the Jarvan lock in instead. So I would imagine BLG just probably lock in the Xin themselves. Maybe they see a good angle to go for the Pantheon if they feel like Seraphine is going to be paired up with another poke-esque champion adjacent to the Ashe, so you can punish that strong push and gank ability of the champions. But not knowing the AD carry pairing yet, they're just going to lock in the Xin along with the Lulu. So Ashe, Lulu going to be the bot lane here. Lulu, a very strong support who very rarely loses 2v2s to other enchanters of her nature. So maybe top want to pivot and look for a more aggressive option to pair with the Seraphine.
I thought that was an interesting pickup for BLG. I think I would have really liked the Nico, just because of how good On is with it. Now, sure, you're going to get that benefit to buff up the Xin, but it's a little bit lost on the Ashe until later. Ezreal's going to be the lock-in for Top Esports, so we're looking to get that early lane poke dominance, but then also have the ability to leave JiaQi love alone. If Fengyue wants to kind of outroam On, you can do so when On is on a Lulu. It is possible.
Yeah, and now, I mean, both solo laners up and available as well. I feel like Sion is a pretty good top laner for both of these teams if they want to try and slam it. So I wonder if either team is maybe not comfortable with the opposite person having it, takes that one away. But it looks like we are just going to focus down maybe some mid lane bans here. I do like that top are indexing into taking away some of these poke options, because so far that kind of feels like what both of these teams are more or less geared up towards. You've got the Ezreal Seraphine, you've got the Ashe Lulu, and so just being able to take off anything, maybe the Jace as well sees a ban just because that Shock Blast is also very good in the poke department. So also is a pretty popular champion for Bin. I mean, this is a guy who really, I think, has been a Jace enjoyer in the past, so could be a good comfort ban here if Top Esports want to go there.
I mean, Zwayon's played it a lot too, so there's always the chance that he goes and gets it.
3 games.
So, yep, more mid lane bans coming through. I am curious to see what Top Esports is going to pick here, if they want to give the counter over to Creme or to Zwayon. They have been playing a lot for Zwayon in this early game, as we mentioned just a few moments ago, and especially against Bin, I think I'm a little bit more comfortable giving counter pick to my rookie top laner as opposed to my veteran mid laner.
Yeah, and I mean, if we don't see the Jace lock in here, or the Jace banned here, I do think that top, like you said, they're probably going to save counter pick for top lane. So yeah, they're going to try and blind the Azir here, who I think it's been a pretty big point of discussion on how good he still is. I still believe in the scaling element of Azir, but he also has the poke to pair up alongside the Seraphine and the Ezreal. But it's going to be the Akali slam here for Knight, followed by, yeah, a blind Gnar. So I do think that Jace is a good option here. It does decent into the Gnar. At least in the laning phase, you guys just go kind of band for band here, but a spicy option would be the Bane, and we're just gonna lock it. Game number 1 here, Yanni. We've got Zoyan's Vayne top.
Wow, that is, I'm not gonna lie, a bit of a shock based on what I've seen from BLG's composition. You're going with a single frontliner in your Jarvan. Quax, I am so worried for Top Esports because of Knight. Knight can kill anybody on Top Esports in one rotation, save for maybe J4. This side lane is going to be so scary.
Yeah, this is going to be a game where I think that if Knight jumps out to an early lead, it's going to be really alarming for Top Esports. But I also think that Top is just in a really volatile state this game. I mean, you've got two ranged champions. They're constantly going to be poking each other. And then you've also got two junglers who want to get onto the map early. So I think that both of them should be starting on this bot side and looking to accelerate, or rather prevent acceleration of the opposite top laner as well up there in that matchup. So I would imagine that's where we'll see a lot of the early pressure, because looking across the board, unless Knight is able to get like a significant poke, a significant chunk against Creme, or he like takes a bad timer, not a lot of the other lanes are very volatile. They don't have a lot of kill threats. So I think all our focus really has to be on either getting Zoyan to a point where he can really start to carry in this mid to late game, or putting Zoyan behind.
Yeah, I want to see what Top Esports is going to do with all this priority they're going to have out of the jungle. They have winning lanes, and see if they're able to capitalize on them. Quax, Game 1, Top Esports BLG on Summoner's Rift right now. The Gyos ring true for both of these squads as we are ready to go, Quax. We'll see what Tien will do with all of the priority that he should have, as we just mentioned a couple moments ago. We know that both of these junglers like taking a lot of really off timers. I do wonder if that means that the invades will be difficult to come by, because Shun would be aware that, hey, Tien can show up at any time. Already getting exhaust out of the top lane, forcing Bin back here at level 1.
And we could see a really interesting keystone choice here for the Gnar, looking for those short burst trades. The Hail of Blades is going to come through here. I think that Bin understands the volatility of this lane, so naturally is just going to be able to try and snowball it by jumping out to an early lead against Zoyan. But we can also see that Shun is pathing in his direction, so we'll end up on that top side as well. Curiously, though, the Jarvan actually is opting to path away, so I wonder what Tien's goal is here, because, like I said, the kill threat on these bot lane 2v2s isn't very high unless a significant chunk comes out for either of them, which, I mean, On did just lose half his HP, but it's a Lulu with heal. I don't know if we're going to be diving.
I think he feels safe to path the bottom lane, because we're going to get such a big advantage up here that the wave is going to look to bounce back to Zoyan, and as long as he's not up too far, it does mean that Shun's first pass should be relatively safe for him. We're trying to tower dive. The turrets are so strong. It's a 1-for-1 in first blood to Fengyue when all's said and done.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be plenty of minions denied here. Really interesting choice here from JiaQi Love and Fengyue. I mean, abusing On's recall timer. We said earlier we wanted to see if they could abuse his roams, and I feel like this is like adjacent to that. So credit to them for doing that, but Fengyue's going to get his back canceled here by On. So these join up timers here, as JiaQi Love is already back to the lane. I mean, Fengyue is now starting up his recall again. So Ezreal is going to be alone in the lane for a good while, but does have the Jarvan in the area now that both junglers have finished their respective full clears.
Shun showing up to the top side here, and looks like it will just be a crab for crab trade, so not too shocking here. And honestly, I think that's a pretty good thing here for Top Esports. If you know, with all the priority that you have in these lanes, if you get ganked early and manage to fall behind, it can be very difficult to kind of recover there, but so far, so good. Now we'll see what happens on Tien's second deployment onto the map here. Of course, we're still a little ways away from some of these objectives.
You see that Tien is going toward the top side, just trying to fish for any vision. Knows, I think, that there is not only the crab being taken, but there's also that ward in the river. So Bin feels comfortable enough to walk up and, yeah, again, try and abuse this Hail of Blades keystone that he opted into to try and chunk out Zoyan, who, like we just saw, instead of going for the TP, has the exhaust. Shun is looking for an angle here. Both flashes available for TES.
Nice. On flashing around to Fengyue. He'll flash the one, becomes lightning, but he is slowed and he is dead. It is a successful gank for Shun down on that bottom side. JiaQi Love wants a little bit more. He'll take a pretty rough trade at the end of that play. Nice play there from the BLG jungle.
Yeah, and I think it's really crucial there that Shun actually gets the kill gold because he's sacking his tempo slightly in order to make this bot lane gank work. You can see that TN is now cleared up his entire quadrant and might actually look to steal away a camp from Shun because of that gank toward the bot lane. So we'll give him a CS advantage, but because the kill went over to the Xin Zhao, it equalizes that gold difference just a little.
Fengyue going to be the first to be able to show up on this mid wave to get Creme his recall. Taking a look at the CS numbers. If you're Knight, you are so happy with the way that this mid lane has progressed. Early on, haven't really been disrupted. You know, once he gets on his 2-item spike, we said earlier he is going to be an absolute terror in this game, Quax.
Yeah, now he has the level 6 unlocked, so that backline access is there for the Akali. A dragon has spawned, so if BLG can, you know, try and play around these item timers or these level timers with Knight to try and abuse the Akali getting onto the backline of top esports, I think they could look for a favorable trade, especially with that flash also being burned from Fengyue. It does leave the Seraphine very vulnerable if you can draw her out into the river, but I don't think that's going to happen, at least for the time being, as you can see that Shun is now redeploying onto the map, actually looking for that crab, so wants to get level 6. Actually, both of these teams are pinging toward the bot crab, so we might see a fight sooner rather than later, Yanni.
Well, it's always difficult to fight into an Ashe Lulu, especially this early on. Crab gonna get started. Creme is gonna be a little late to this. Shun and Knight are gonna be able to cut him off if they need to. Tien's gonna have to flag and drag his way out. Might look for a turn onto Honor Viper. They're split off for now. This Crab down to about 1,000 HP, but Shun realizes that top esports is able to get back. Tien will be the first to hit level 6 here with this big wave knocking on Knight's door. He had to go back for that one, so good play.
Yeah, Creme, like you said, able to push that wave, so joins up quicker toward the fight, and also with that divide, Zoyan is...
All right, he's gonna
really
ult Bin here.
Fight.
Bin's not in Mega. The exhaust goes down. It's just a matter of getting him near a wall, looking to run him down. The flash from Bin right into a warded bush, and Swayon gets the 1v1 solo bolo. Meanwhile, on the bottom side, Tien a little bit too far up will fall, and now it's Fengyue caught in the river, and it's Knight getting his first kill.
Yeah, Shun might be able to look for a dragon off of that. He doesn't have push in either mid or bot, but does have the kill onto Tien. He's going to think better of it, won't actually go for an objective, so it's just a trade of kills across the map here. And for the case of Zoyan, I mean, chasing Bin to the edges of the earth here, as we do get a replay on it. And I want to see, because I think Bin tried to do like the 6-pack fake out flash trick here with this angle. He was, yeah, looking, yeah, you can see he was like facing his character toward the river and then flashed back into the bush, but there was a ward there already. So he gets seen, gets taken down, and then Tien, he gets caught out here just trying to take a blue buff, gets himself killed, and by extension also gets his support kill. So Knight's going to be able to pick that one up. The beginning potentially of this Akali getting accelerated, which is something that we feared with top esports having double marksman.
Yeah, I mean, Creme got to get that wave in. He gets a plate off of it. JiaQi got to kind of farm during that time, but I'm not sure that's quite worth it, Quax, because of what Knight is going to be able to do. We'll have to keep an eye on that as things progress. Both objectives are up for the moment. We know that Tien has been playing around topside a lot in the top esports games, but so far hasn't really shown upstairs.
No, but he's going to be starting up the grubs here, which I think is the wiser choice. A lot of people have been debating and socializing about the effectiveness of grubs in this day and age, but I think with a comp of double marksman, it is absolutely imperative that you pick these up just because of the range power that you have and the sieging power, as well as we do see the ultimate coming through. It is not going to hit, but, you know, A for effort.
Yeah, I think they thought, JiaQi thought that, hey, Bin might back all the way up because he thinks it's a Tien timer on the top side, which this would be pretty apropos for him.
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
I mean, Tien was on that top side, did go for those grubs, right? So I think that was a good assumption there by JiaQi. Of course it's wrong, but still, I think the correct move from the top esports AD carry. Now, though, Dragon has been started up by BLG, just trying to equalize the counter on these neutral objectives. But Tien is in the area and does have very easy access to get into the river.
Yep, Fengyue and JiaQi love moving in as well, but there's not really a play for them to make here. While Creme is unable to get that initial priority, it is so difficult for top esports to try and fight just because of what Knight can do. So just an early objective trade as we get her to around the 10-minute mark, 9.5 minutes. Top esports with a very small gold lead for the moment. Most of that is on Zwayon. Knight and Creme starting to get a little low here.
And we see that Zwayon is actually opting in for the Phage, so he's going to go for the experimental Hexplate, which has been a build that is evolved and risen in priority, especially for Vayne top when you're dealing against you know, some of these tankier members. Being able to have some health stats for yourself, really valuable, and also makes your final hour just that much more potent. So I think that Zwayon really just trying to call attention to himself.
Here's an arrow. Here's an arrow. Creme!
Ooh.
Oh, we'll have to flash away. Nice job there to avoid certain death.
Yep, so Flash Burn from Creme does still have plenty of innate mobility on the Azir to get away, but if Shun finds a good timer or finds the mid laners jockeying, he could maybe look to try and punish that. But for the time being, we are seeing a lot of gravity come toward this top lane. The junglers are in the area, but Fengyue crucially is also there. So 3v2 right now.
Zwayon walking up, looking to trade on to Bin. Exhaust is down, dodges the wind, becomes lightning. TN shows up, but there was no flag and drag. Bin gets cataclysed, and the encore on top of it is Fengyue picking it up, and now Shun is locked up, forced to flash away, but TN will chase him to the ends of the earth, and top esports evens up the kill score.
Yeah, really good counterpunch there from top esports, and frankly, a bit of a mistake there from Shun leading with the wind becomes lightning. That's your main source of damage. He misses it, and then has to go into a 1v2 where he just doesn't have the resources necessary to save Bin or save himself. Now On is being a bit of a pest here, holding the wave and canceling backs, but still, the kills going over to top there to further accelerate this Vayne. Absolutely massive here for Zwayon.
Yeah, really good stuff out of top esports, and now it's up to Zwayon to carry this game from here. Quax, let's take a look at this replay. You called out the wind becomes lightning start. When you miss that, it's tough to make anything happen.
Yeah, he's trying to like knock up TN, but the Cataclysm goes into range. Zwayon saves his Condemn when the Cataclysm goes down, because that interaction is really broken. To try and abuse here for top esports, but he still would have gotten knocked into the wall, so it doesn't really make a difference. But yeah, 2-0 start here for the top esports top laner. This is what we said we wanted to see when you don't really have a premier frontliner here in top lane and you have a marksman instead. You really have to put it ahead because otherwise you're not going to derive a lot of value from the pick. And it's good to see that top esports understood the assignment, and they're doing so against Bin. We were worried about this matchup, and they're managing to, I think, subvert our expectations and exceed what we thought would be the case.
Yep, glad to see they gave Zwayon counter pick, and he's making it work. They've invested some resources into him. He got a solo kill of his own. It's a really good start there, but the problem is that BLG is more than just Bin.
Right.
There are more players on this team. You know, I'm still worried about what Knight's going to be able to do in these side lanes a little bit later. He's already finished his first item. Seeing a lot of members of BLG coalesce on this top side, maybe looking to make a play on this way.
Yep, but you can see there is also that ward in the river, so it's pretty difficult for BLG to actually try and make an impact on that 1v1. They are going to try and fish for Creme, but Creme, obviously still without that flash, he is being cautious himself. And it just seems like teams are jockeying for maybe any control that they can get on the top side and then transition it into power on the bot lane, because we do have a dragon in less than a minute. This would be BLG's second of the game. Crucially, both top laners also completed their quests, so those teleports are available. For Zwayon, who has the exhaust, I think that'll be extra impactful. This Vayne off to an early lead, like we said, and also now completing their first item. So very strong at the current moment. If he's able to join up in the fight, he will absolutely make a difference in favor of top esports.
We haven't talked about JiaQi level up, but he's got his Trinity Force, so you know that's one of the bigger one-item spikes in the game. This dragon coming up in about 25 seconds. Top esports with priority in the mid lane. If they can set their feet around this objective, it'll be very difficult for BLG to try to make their way in to take it. We'll have to see how things progress for the moment in this top lane's way. I'm still a level up. TN gonna look to engage on the Knight, chunk him out just a little bit.
Close to Mega.
Whoa, what a condemn. Nice condemn by Zweon, having an idea that Bin was going to go forward for that. Now Bin could find himself in trouble. The stun's onto Zweon. They throw a rock at him. Bin will be able to limp away. Here comes an Ezreal for downtown. This looks like it's got a chance. Quax, and it's gonna JiaQi Love from downtown. Dragon gonna be secured from BLG. Shun dashes in, and he wants more. Knockups are there, but there's no way for Knight to find a way in. Now top Esports are gonna look to turn this fight. They got slowed up in the Ash just a little bit, but can they find an angle? Shun goes in, knocks everybody away, but the charm's on the Knight, and he's served up on a silver platter, and he will fall. Shun, the next target, cannot find Fengyue, and it's top Esports who are starting to dominate.
And top Esports, they don't get the dragon, but they get multiple kills, Yanni. The moment that Akali is lost, top Esports can wreak absolute havoc on the remaining members of BLG. I hope we get a replay there, because I think both teams really played that fight well. But now Creme, on top of the kill, he's going to get himself plates. This Azir is starting to scale up, and this Akali, whose impact we were worried about in these mid-game skirmishes, it's just not as present as we thought it would be, Yanni.
Not yet. There is still room for Knight to make things happen, but it is getting a lot harder. And this BLG team looks a lot different when Bin's not able to make an impact. Look at this fight right before this objective.
Beautiful condemn there. I mean, you said it yourself, Yanni. So then Zoyan opts to go in for the kill, which I think is the correct call, but just steps up a little too far. Bin is able to get the stun, but then I'm actually really surprised no one on BLG was like screaming for Bin to get out of the way. I'm pretty certain Knight saw that ultimate
It went
go
over
through.
a ward.
Yeah. So Bin decides just not to leave, and then we get a replay of this fight, and then Shun starts it off like really well here. I want to take a look at this ultimate from him, because this split up all the members of top Esports, but Knight gets encored. If he doesn't get encored there by Fengyue and rooted up, and the CC train doesn't come through from the Akali, he would be able to pick them off one by one. So really a lot of credit over there to top Esports for focusing him down, not letting him get into the fight, and, you know, chunking him out with CC before he becomes relevant and can actually kill any of them.
Sometimes you want to hit a multi-man encore, and sometimes it's okay to hit just one. Great play there, and top Esports has a 4,500 gold lead. They've got Rift Herald in the back pocket, but they're also looking to make a play onto Zweon. Zweon has no idea that there are multiple members there. But here comes the rest of top Esports on the way. Exhaust down onto Bin. Knockup's there onto Zweon. He's got to try to stay alive as the rest of his team's trying to get to him. Encore is going to land, but Zweon's going to fall. Bin flashes away, and now it's TN, who's stuck with multiple members. Cataclysm down. Bin won't survive, but they'll get the kill out all the same. A 2-for-1 for BLG.
Yeah, Zoyan goes down maybe a little bit faster than I was expecting. I mean, having that Hex play as well as the Flash, as well as the final hour, usually makes Vayne really pesky in trying to catch, but BLG locked on to Zoyan, do manage to take him out, but I mean, looking at the map, there's no Herald available, there's no Dragon available for less than 2 minutes here, so they get the kill, they shut down the Vayne, but that's really all they're going to get in the wake of Consequence. He is still really far ahead in the game, and I mean, top did manage to get a kill onto Bin, so again, further setting behind this Gnar, making it difficult for him to have that impact in the fight.
Bin got to kill himself, keep that in mind, as the top Esports lead has shrunk immediately off of that play, down to 3.3 thousand. So BLG, a team that is ever scrappy, always willing to fight, knows that they can have conditions to come back into this game. The issue, though, is dealing with a triple grub team that has 280 carries and an Azir, because it's always going to be problems near the turret. Meanwhile, Zweon is looking for another solo kill, and he gets it. It doesn't get much easier than that, Quax. Meanwhile, down on the bottom lane, Knight's going to get shielded up as the turret went down, but Creme's got his own turret to force BLG away.
Yeah, so Knight burns his ultimate there. Should have it up probably by the time this next dragon is here, but Zoyan is going to get a massive injection of gold. Finally gets himself the tier 1, so this will free the Vayne from being like a cameo stage actor in these fights to now being part of the main cast. I mean, he'll be able to roam around the map, and he just doesn't care anymore. He dives the turret, manages to kill Bin in mini form, and will be able to likely get that second item off of reset. So this is a 2 item vein. Yeah, Essence Reaver complete. Less than 20 minutes in. This is a scary position for BLG to be in.
Rift Herald getting put down in the mid lane. They're not going to even need it for the tier 1. It's 10 seconds before the Dragon, looking to set up for soul point for themselves. Rift Herald going to get this charge off and chunk down this turret and take this one out. This top esports are way back on top in the gold department now.
Yeah, they are. They don't even feel like they need Zoyan to help them get this Dragon. I mean, BLG have every right and every reason to not go for this. It would give them soul point, but they've got no vision past like the Wolf camp. They've got really no play to be made. So their play is, let's try and overload a side lane, but Fengyue sniffs this out. The Seraphine is here, so that's not even a choice for them either, Yanni. This is beautiful map play coming out from the support, who we said needed to try and match on in the roaming department, and he absolutely has been doing that. He has been present for a lot of these plays and attempted picks that BLG have been trying to make.
No doubt about it. Fengyue has played a phenomenal game so far. I just think back to that Dragon fight and how different it could have been had he not landed that encore on tonight. And Quax, this is, I think, the most down we've seen BLG, even in their singular loss they've had so far this season, their singular game loss. This is just an absolute disaster. I never expected the team to look like it's fallen apart with Bin not having a lead because of how good everybody else has been in their roles so far this year.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I feel like the big thing for BLG has been that even when they're not necessarily super far ahead, at least gold-wise in the early game, they've always had a clutch factor in the team fights, right? They've always been able to, you know, kind of spin straw into gold, if you will, when it comes to, you know, some rough lane states or game states that they found themselves in. But this is a match where I absolutely agree with you. Like almost 6,000 gold down. Top esports as well have a really strong scaling comp with double marksmen. So this is a difficult position to claw your way back from if you are BLG. I think really the biggest thing that you have to be looking for are these future Dragons. That soul win condition really has to be something that you clutch onto. So if they're able to look for picks in the next couple of minutes, if they're able to set up around these side lanes, I think that they could try and match top esports and get a numbers advantage beforehand. But that just seems like such a difficult task. I mean, look at the vision that TES have established on that bot side. Those two control wards are doing so much in spotting out any picks that BLG try to look for.
And I think the biggest issue with BLG is where's their scaling, right? Like, sure, you have 6-item Ashe, which we all know can be a terror, but other than that, you don't have any sort of late game that can match the power of what top esports is going to bring to the table. You know, BLG really reliant with this comp on mid-game execution and Bin knocking people into a wall and Knight getting kills on side lanes, and none of that is happening as top esports have decided we are going to start up the Baron. That could be a little risky here. Creme will be able to find Shun, who was all alone, and it's easy pickings for top esports.
And it's going to be right back onto the Baron. I mean, with the sustain from the Seraphine, I feel like there's no reason they shouldn't just continue to hit this. As now Zoyan's doing it again.
Oh my goodness, he just has Bin's number this game. Teleport's going to be coming in from Knight as now Zoyan finds himself on the wrong side of the tracks. And the arrow from downtown means Knight is going to pick up the kill, but all of it means that the Baron will go to top esports.
Yeah, top esports are going to manage to claim themselves the Nasher. It won't have the same effectiveness because Zoyan has been, I think, the premier side lane carry with this Vade, really having drawn a lot of pressure. And it would have been really propelled forward if he had the Baron buff on top of that. But, hey, a 4-1 still ain't bad as now Creme is in trouble, maybe.
Uh-oh, it's the side lane plays, Quax. Knight has 2 kills in a matter of a minute in his back pocket.
Yup, so a lot of gold injection here for the Akali, that big threat that we warned top esports against feeding. Now does have maybe an angle to be a threat in these fights. As Zoyan, looking at this replay, honestly, I would have gone back in here. Like, you still had a slight wave. The teleport escape was a good call, but yeah, just a little too late. Ashe arrow hits, manages to cancel that. So Zoyan is just looking for more, and now we see another teleport play.
Yep,
and
he is out of there, so Bin will be able to escape. 40 seconds until this dragon is up, though, so he's going to have to stack Narbar with the rest of his team.
Yeah.
Remember, he has no flash either, so no flash Gnar ultimates against a wall for BLG to find a way to really blow a fight open.
And you can see that JiaQi is moving into the river, so top esports are going to get control of this area before BLG, and that, like you said, is going to be really tough for BLG to engage without the Mega Gnar. So Bin doesn't really have anywhere he can stack it. Does still have the shield, but that's going to wear off. Topper first to the river. There's a dragon on the line, and BLG have no real way of starting up this fight, Yanni.
Yep, and look at what JiaQi is doing. I mean, it's even if Creme gets an auto attack in there with a Sand Soldier, it just means that BLG, they lose so much of their health bar so quickly. I mean, Shun's already down to 2/3 HP. Viper's already tagged. We have an Ezreal ultimate down on the Creme. Now Shun going all the way in. Zweon is ulted, trying to make things happen. Shun over to the side is very low, lands the knock-up. He's going to fall. Encore finds Viper all alone, and he will fall. Zweon will die as Knight manages to escape, but it's top esports winning yet another fight.
It's a 1-for-2. Again, they lose Zoyan, but they will absolutely maintain control of the bot side river. The second dragon is theirs, and a tier 2 turret on this bot side as well. Going to be the cherry on top. They still have this Baron buff for another 30 seconds, so they're probably going to try and squeeze every last little bit of value, but have they overstayed? Knight has a lot of items at this point. He's working on his third, but the Seraphine is just going to keep them too well protected.
Top esports, 26 minutes into this game, 6.7 thousand gold lead, have been dominating BLG for a large portion of this game. Credit to BLG for being able to fight out of a corner at times, but this fight was just not one that they were able to get any advantages.
This is really the only way they could engage. Shun Crescent Guard into Wild Growth does give them some room to free hit, but ultimately it's not going to matter in the grand scheme of things. And Zoyan goes just a little too far ahead, continues to queue on forward, so he will go down. But I mean, TES get all of the rewards for that fight. They get more members in that fight, and now 6,000 gold ahead. And I really gotta give credit over to this team. I mean, a lot of people were worried about what their standing would be after a rather disappointing split one and a very disappointing first series up against IG, but they've really turned it around. I mean, going from 0-2 against Invictus Gaming in your first series as a team in split 2 to now potentially knocking a game off of BLG with a Vayne top lane against Bin, and that's quite the turnaround.
Ashol splits the gap here, so the Siege is going to be able to continue for top esports. The anti-Siege is not really there. They might need to look for a way in. Knight is a little low on energy, though, so they're going to have to wait for the next push. Knight has done everything he can to try to keep this game together for BLG. We've talked about the scaling being in top esports' favor, though, Quax. It seems like it's going to be a very difficult mountain to climb, but if there is any team that we know that can win games despite everything being against them, it can be BLG.
And I think a lot of that burden is on Bin, or not Bin, Knight here. 4-1 on the Akali, now completed his third item with the Zanyas as well, so it gives him a little bit of extra safety if he wants to dive in for a backline and try and make sure that BLG, off of the numbers advantage that he got from assassinating someone, can try and save him from getting killed himself. But it's still a really tall task. I mean, you've got Final Hour, you've got Arcane Shift. There are plenty of ways that a lot of the backline members here of top esports can actually get away from the Akali and make it more difficult for her to save some of those mobility tools to try and get out. Because I feel like unless Knight is going for a 1-for-0, if he's only trading 1-for-1, or he's only able to assassinate one person while giving his life in return, it's not really worth it for BLG, because just the damage that the remaining members have isn't going to be sufficient enough to tear through the Seraphine, as Zoyan is going in, but Knight is in the area, but so is Tion.
Oh yeah, Knight got exhausted. Cataclysm keeps them both stuck,
Ooh!
But it's Knight who's able to pick
mega.
up the kill. Now Bin stunning up Tien. Teleport has landed. It's Creme looking to find Bin. JiaQi
went down
is here too. They will be able to take him out, but a good call out there, Quax. It's a 2-for-1 for BLG, and now they're going to get some time on some turrets.
Yeah, and they're pinging toward the Baron. I mean, it's up in about 5 seconds. Tien is on the other side of the map, and it's a 3v4 This feels like a Hail Mary play that BLG would make, and they absolutely have to make it, Yanni.
They have the damage. You take a look at the picture-in-picture. It was a nice pick there on the Fengyue. Got a 9,000 HP, and now top esports is starting to enter the river. As Real's gonna go down, deal some damage.
50-50!
Needs to make a play. Serves up Shun and keeps him away. It's secured by top esports and TN. But now the turnaround fight. Creme, JiaQi still relatively healthy. Creme walks in, he goes golden, but Knight blows up JiaQi, and he blows up Creme, and they're gonna make TN easy pickings as well. BLG, never say die.
And top esports grossly overestimate themselves in the 3v4. They thought they had an angle to go in, but Creme isn't able to find his way onto the backline. The CC from BLG keeps the bird in place and clips his wings. And now, with the giant death timers of 30 seconds and about 40 seconds until the dragon spawns, BLG should have no problem reclaiming control of this mid and bot lane and looking to set up around this future objective.
If I am a top esports fan, Quax, I'd be getting some nervous stomachs. I detect them. 3,000 gold is their lead, but it is starting to be problematic here, especially with how far ahead Knight is. Look at Zoyan, too far once again. The condemned lands, but Knight will continue the fight and pick up kill number 7 as BLG head to the dragon.
Yup, they should have no problem claiming it for themselves. This will be sole point for them. There's a bit of a drought in the Dragons. Top esports were reigning control of this game, but now it feels like BLG, off of the back of Knight, have managed to really even out the current state of this game here. This was the series that we were hoping would come out here, Yanni, between a team that is undefeated and a team that has been on a hot streak. The new challengers are starting to falter against the might of BLG as the steal comes through on the replay. And then Creme here, I feel like if he had ultimate, this would be a good play. But because he doesn't, he has to immediately Zhonya's, take himself out of the fight. And Tien as well, burning the Guardian Angel. That could have some lasting consequences. If he misjudges how tanky he is or how little damage BLG might have, he could find himself dead before his team can react, because that GA isn't going to buy you the necessary space to try and get out of a fight and make some of those more audacious engages of the Jarvan possible.
Top esports have spotted out a couple of members of BLG, and they really want to play in their face right now, but the Hawkshot is there, making sure that safe passage is granted to the rest of BLG. And one of the biggest downfalls of this game, Quax, has been Zoyan on this vein. He has been locked up ever since the last solo kill that he had up top. Ever since that, every attempt, he has been taken out. He has been, you know, tricked, essentially. Thought that that was a safe fight to take in the bottom side, but Knight came in from the shadows, and that's one way that BLG has been able to really find their way back in, because then they have man advantage in whatever next fight they want to take. Getting to the 33-minute mark of this game, Knight has completed his Rabadon's death cap.
Yeah, I'm looking 637 AP for the Akali now, so Knight just gonna keep hitting so hard in these exchanges. And yeah, to your point,
Dash ult, dodge there. Fengyue hasn't really been able to do a lot in these fights either. No. It feels like top esports, they can still have this. It's not over yet. Shun wants to go in here. Ezreal coming down, not going to tag Knight, but Knight is quite low. Top esports want to continue the chase.
Zoyan!
Oh, the Encore did not land. Zoyan's onto the back line, but he's put in the bounce house. Cataclysm's down, but so is Zoyan. Bin joins the fight, but he's got no Mega. Tien gonna flag and drag his way out. They're gonna turn on to Shun on this backside. They find him too. Creme serves up Bin, and that could be exactly what top esports needed. A 4v2 for the next 25 seconds, 30 seconds.
Yeah, they're going to barrel down mid lane there, and the big crucial thing that made the difference was Knight getting chunked out there. He doesn't die, but his health bar goes to 50%. He doesn't want to engage the fight. The Akali now is alone with the Lulu, and I don't know if this is going to be enough to save the game with these massive death timers, Yanni.
Top Esports want to end the game right now. 15 seconds on Viper. On is very low.
All right, here he
goes.
goes.
Go in, and they lock him up. He's low, he's golden, but he is not surviving. Top Esports, despite BLG's valiant effort, will secure game 1.
And Zoyan, I just know in the chat, is singing top diff. Even though some of the lead went down a little bit, like specifically in the latter half of the game, my man was putting on work with the Vayne, but a lot of that late game, I have to give credit over to Creme and TN. We talked a little bit about this mid-jungle duo in the pre-show, Yanni, but this game absolutely should prove that they deserve respect. A lot of good shuffles, a lot of good plays together, starting up the fights, and ultimately winning them the game with that last scoop up that we saw, preventing Knight as well from being able to get involved in that final team fight.
That was so huge. I mean, this guy had been the catalyst for BLG the entire game, and in the critical last fight, he is unable to make an impact. You know, and that teleport in from Bim was like the story of his game, right? He shows up and immediately dies. I mean, there was so much that if maybe BLG had been on better conditions in that fight, maybe we're talking about a very different game. But Top Esports recognizing that despite the fact that they have been battered back the late game of this game, they were still able to find that opportunity and say, we can still win this game, guys. We are still in the lead. We are still going to push our advantage. And the battering ram knocked down the doors of BLG. That's why they took game 1. Quax, there are a lot of players that really could earn MVP honors for this game for Top Esports. I do think it's got to come out of the jungle, though.
I mean, I would be inclined to give it over to TN as well. I think that Creme had a bit of a rougher laning phase against Knight. Obviously, that a colleague jumped out to a pretty significant gold lead over the Azir. But when I think of the last couple of fights that transpired in this game and the reason for Top Esports winning, it came down to Creme. It came down to those shuffles, and it came down to his ability to wait and scale and really have that impact when it mattered most. So I got to give credit over to him, even if I think TN was probably the most consistent member of the game, and probably for that reason most deserving of the MVP. I agree.
Yeah, Creme, good shuffles. They weren't, you know, the flashy ones where you're like, oh my god, he hit 3 or 4 people, but they were the ones that they needed, not the ones they deserved. And listen, you know, when you're able to go and get some of these quick picks, put yourself in a great position, is a big reason why Top Esports was able to break open that big lead. I think back to that scoop that he had on Shun that resulted in the pick and the Baron, right? That was a huge reason why Top Esports had a lead, and if that play doesn't happen, I mean, this is a very, very different game with the way that BLG were able to come back. I do worry for Top Esports because I don't know if BLG are going to let them get out to such an early lead like that in games 2 and 3. If we get a third.
Assuming
Top Esports could just 2-0.
Yes, very, very presumptuous of you, Yanni.
I'd be surprised if BLG got 2-0'd here.
If BLG
That's not
gets
a knock
2-0'd,
against Top Esports.
Yeah,
That's just BLG is the best team in the world right now.
Yeah, if BLG got 2-0'd by Top Esports, that would absolutely be the story. That would be one of the big stories of the split, in my opinion, just to keep looking forward to. But, I mean, I gotta give credit, again, over to Zoyan, because not only did he really diff Bin in the laning phase, but also just the audacity to go for a Vayne in game number 1 against Bin. I mean, we were talking about this matchup being really volatile, and the fact that both of these guys like to scrap and call attention to their lane early on. And for Zoyan, the guy who is filling in for 369, the guy who stepped up this split to say, give me the Vayne, let me play it against arguably the best top laner in the world here in game number 1, has to be respected, and he absolutely lived up to the hype. So really big respect to him for this game, even if he dropped the ball a little bit after the mid game and toward that late game where Knight managed to kind of feast on him.
Yeah, remember, very young player, so it's not entirely unexpected to have this sort of thing happen, but I think the more important thing is that he was able to keep Bin in check, right? When Bin goes unchecked, this is when BLG win games. And if you're able to lock him up, set him behind, make his life very difficult, we saw it right here. This is a very different BLG. Now, obviously, BLG showed us that they still have the tools to be able to potentially win even despite the fact that Bin might be behind, but they were not able to get it done here, Critic.
The snipe. Oh, like that.
That was
You don't
crazy.
see that very often, but when you do, ooh. Ooh, Yanni, does it feel good? Absolutely crazy there from JiaQi Love to land that cross map. Slightly even crazier that no one on BLG called it, but I digress. But yeah, I mean,
This
honestly,
is where it started going wrong.
Yeah, this is where it started to go awry for Zoyan. But I mean, another kind of underrated thing that we touched on in the pre-show was On's ability to roam and make plays around the map. And I don't feel like we necessarily saw that to the extent that we have been accustomed to so far in split number 2, Yanni. I think that On has been so impactful at being able to allow Shun and Bin to have that aggression factor to them in these last 3 series that they have played, and he wasn't really present. He wasn't really able to actually have that meaningfulness that we've seen from him. It felt like he was more or less playing catch-up, trying to make sure that his teams weren't falling behind more and more, and that just means that you didn't get as much value from the roams on the Lulu. So, you know, credit to Top Esports for punishing that avenue of BLG's play as well, and Fengyue having his own usefulness in the team fights. Some of those encores, you know, didn't hit, but they always found, I think, their proper target when they did.
Yeah, and his ability usage on all of other Seraphine's other abilities was solid too. Whenever you're able to shield and heal up your team, I mean, thumbs up, man. 2 thumbs over. We're all happy with that. But yeah, you know, this was a game that, as you mentioned, On wasn't able to do as much on roaming, and I mean, that kind of happens when you are playing Lulu, right? You don't get the same sort of roams that you get out of a tankier support. Obviously, it's not our meta, but you know, even like a Nico, right? Your roams are a little bit better because you have multiple avenues in which you can attack. You can go through lane, you can go through the river or the jungle, and you don't really get that out of Lulu because it's so easy for you to get picked off. So, we're looking at player of the game. It goes over to Zoyan. This might be a controversial choice. I'm actually kind of okay with it because you talked about it. The impact of keeping Bin behind is probably the biggest impact that you can make in a game. So while I say you could give it elsewhere, I'm okay with this.
Yeah, I mean, the Gnar not being able to have any agency meant that BLG's angle of engage was significantly limited, right? That Mega Gnar wasn't really present in any of the fights. I mean, usually when Bin showed up for a 5v5, he was tiny boy. And like, even if he was Mega Gnar, like going in was going to be really difficult. So he got 6 out of 8.
Unanimous.
Right. So a lot of people impressed with Zoyan's ability to set Bin behind. I think just for the, again, we've highlighted it, the nature of the matchup between these two, like very unexpected to see Zoyan jump out to be this aggressive against the best top laner in the world. So yeah, a lot of credit over to him. Can he do it again though, Yanni, is the big question.
No doubt about it, Quax. That's exactly what I was about to ask. Will he be able to replicate that performance? We're going to find out shortly. We're going to go ahead and take a break, and when we return,